okay?
Sure. Maybe you will say a little bit about yourself, some new people I see.
Good idea. Good idea. Yes, my name is Jeff Шліпер, and I am living currently in Olympia, Washington, which is way over on the west coast of the United States. And for those who may not know me, I've spent a lot of time in Ukraine over the years. I started visiting when my wife was a Peace Corps volunteer in Kirovograd, now Kropivnitsky, back in 2004. Can you believe that, Stas, Christy?
Yeah.
Julia, can you believe that? I've known you
No, I
for
can't.
7
It's almost 20 years.
I know, it's 17 years. Unbelievable. So yeah, so I'm unfortunately not able to be in Kropivnitsky now because of the pandemic, but I want to start these classes again this fall, and hopefully we can continue them, and I can eventually make another visit to Kropivnitsky in the future.
Yes, we hope to.
Yeah, me too. I'm looking forward to it. So we did a bunch of classes last, I guess we started last winter, right, Christy? Was it January or February?
I don't remember exactly.
Yeah. It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And so I thought we would continue to start, doing them again now that we're all back at the library and back in school. Again, I'm in Olympia, Washington, which is not too far from Seattle, the city that some of you probably know about. And so here we go. We're going to do I think a pretty interesting topic today. It's usually on the minds of many of us, this subject of immigration. And it's a big topic. There's a lot to talk about. So today I'm going to give you more of a history of immigration in America. Also give you some statistics, some numbers about who is immigrating to America, and also talk about some of the problems that the United States is experiencing with immigration. I suspect many of you know about those problems. And then also give you some, at the end of this, I'll give you some good websites for you to go to learn more about immigration coming into the United States. And this presentation I've done on Google Slides, if anyone has used Google Slides. And Christy has the link for this presentation, and it's public. So Christy will be happy to share it with you after we're finished today, so that you can have the same presentation, and you can use those links to get information if you want to find out more. So that'll be great. Wow, it's great to see more people adding too. That's super.
Yeah.
Welcome everybody, and here we go. Immigration. So, as you know, the United States is the United Nations when it comes to immigration. We have people from every country living in the United States, and this is the story of America, as you know. And just as an example, my grandparents on my mother's side are from Norway and Sweden. And my grandparents on my father's side were from England and Germany. So I am a typical American. I am from, I have many different heritages from other countries. So, and this is the story of this country, as you know. It is a country of immigrants, and this statistic is pretty interesting. It shows that, so many people are coming from other countries just in the first generation. 1 in 7 residents is an immigrant today, which is amazing when you think about it. And, and this is going to continue. Immigration is part of America's story. This one I thought was an interesting slide that shows where they're coming from. And the largest percentage of immigrants, I guess I'm a part of that, 15% over all of the history of America have come from Germany, which is, I thought, was interesting. And then you can see all the others listed here. Swedish, I'm on the list for Norway and Sweden too, and English, I guess. So I sort of got all four of those. And you don't see Ukraine here, but we're going to talk about Ukraine in a minute, because Ukraine is definitely a part of this group. And this one really, I think, is a good slide. It shows those same numbers we looked at before, all these different countries, but then there's this huge piece of the pie, 51%. And those are every other country. You know, every country you can imagine are part of this 51% of other countries. And of course, that includes Ukraine. So so yeah, you're represented in there, but you don't have enough to sort of make a piece of the pie. It's a little smaller than that. And this map, this is the good one. If some of you remember, Christy, I suspect you know what this map is from your visits to America. But this is where the Statue of Liberty is located, in New York Harbor. Here is New York City, the lower part of New York City. Here is New Jersey and Jersey City. And in this harbor, that's where the Statue of Liberty is. And right next to it is a place called Ellis Island. And there's a lot of history associated with immigration in these two places. And as you can see in this picture of New York City, this is a good picture, because it shows, you know, here's New York, here's the statue, and there's Ellis Island. And for many, many years in the 1900s, this is the place that all immigrants had to go to first before they were admitted into the United States. They had to pass through immigration in Ellis Island. And there's a little better picture. It's now it's a museum today. It's a memorial. They keep it in very good condition, and you can visit it and go on a tour to see what it looks like. And of course, the Statue of Liberty, which I think many of you know about or have seen pictures of, the Statue of Liberty was actually a gift from France. It was given to us many, many years ago in the late 1800s, hoping that we would understand and embrace the idea of democracy in our country. So a lot of people don't realize that it was not made in the United States. It was made in France, taken apart in pieces and put on a ship and sent to America, and then reassembled where it stands today in New York Harbor. And of course, Ellis Island opened in the late 1800s, 1892, as you can see here, and operated for almost 60 years as the first place for immigrants to be admitted into the United States. And here's a picture from those days. You can see it was pretty tough place to enter. People carrying everything that they own on these horrible ships, you know, just full of people, and then having to go through this terrible entry point into Ellis Island before they could actually be admitted. So that brings up this question of illegal immigration. And I think we have all heard stories about all kinds of ways for people to try to get into the United States, either legally or illegally. And it's a big, big problem without easy answers. The illegal border crossings primarily come from Mexico, because of course we have a lot of water around the United States. So it's either Canada or Mexico where you can cross by land. And the economic conditions and the political problems in many of those countries to the south have forced people to escape from South America, from Central America, and from Mexico, and to try to cross this horrible desert. Oh, you'll see pictures here in a minute. the area that they try to cross in northern Mexico and to come into the southern part of the United States, it's very dangerous. It's a very difficult part of the country. And many, many people cross the border there every year. It's estimated 12 to 15 million people each year try to cross there illegally. Building walls, doesn't work. They just build taller ladders, so to get over the walls. And of course, many people who get a visa, they overstay the visa. They take the visa and they throw it away and they try to start a life in the United States. Just to show you what that border looks like from California, here's San Diego in California in the Pacific Ocean. So here's this border, and you can see it's a really, really long border all the way to the Gulf of Mexico. And part of it is this Rio Grande River, which is not very deep. It's not a very difficult river to cross. But this territory here is desert, and it's very difficult conditions, very tough to cross. And you can see what it looks like. I mean, this is, no water, no shelter. It's very hot during the day and very cold at night. It's really challenging conditions. And you can see at the fence lines, people cut holes in the fence or they do what they can to cross. You build a ladder or you build a wall and you just get a bigger ladder and you get over the top.
Or a deeper tunnel.
Exactly, a deeper tunnel, or you swim across the Rio Grande with your kids and everything you own. These are desperate people who are trying to find a better life. And of course, if the United States were to accept everybody, we would be completely overwhelmed. We could not handle all of the people. But unfortunately, they're trying to escape. They're trying to escape in many cases for their lives. They are literally trying to save their life. And so it's a very difficult set of decisions that the United States is facing. You can see here, this is the Border Patrol in the United States. So this is the United States on the right. And of course, this is Mexico on the left. And you can see they've set up some fencing and they have a guy going up and down the section, but it's almost impossible to stop. And of course, eventually they get apprehended by the Border Patrol, and their names are taken, their fingerprints are taken, and then they are usually taken back across the border. It's very sad. Now, of course, we have a new president, Joe Biden. He was elected at the end of last year, and he took office this year. He's got a lot of problems to deal with, and one of them, of course, is immigration. And these people are protesting, asking Biden to let them in Mexico. This is a picture of a march that took place in one of the cities in Mexico. It's a very difficult situation. I don't think anyone really has a good answer for how we're dealing with this as it relates to our neighbors to the south. I wanted to show you this picture so that you can understand a little better how close we are to our neighbors in Mexico. So this is the city of El Paso, Texas. El Paso, Texas, and you can find it on Google. It's a big city. It's located right on the border with the Rio Grande River. And the river is right here. You can sort of see a little bit of something right here. And then immediately on the other side of the river is Mexico. And the city is called Ciudad Juarez, or Juarez, Mexico. And the city is Juarez is almost 4 million people. It's like the size of Kiev. And this smaller city of El Paso is right on the border, right across the river. So you can imagine living in Juarez every day under very difficult circumstances and just wanting to get across, just try to find a way to get into El Paso. So it's just amazing how close these communities are. They're so close. it would be similar in some respects to the border with Poland and in Western Ukraine, in Ivano-Frankivsk, or over near Lutsk, or on the other side of west of Lviv. Those areas that are right on the border of Poland. They're very, very close. And of course, this is what one of the border crossings looks like. They're enormous, huge crossings. And this is coming from Mexico into the United States. So moving on, talking now about the United States again, and how we really are a country of immigrants. This is a good slide that shows New York City. There are 176 different languages spoken by the students in the New York City public schools. Yeah, unbelievable. 176 different languages. And then closer to home here in the Seattle public schools, near where I live, 162 languages. So it's not just New York City. Many parts of our country have huge populations of immigrants. And this is right near where I live in Everett, Washington. I think you can probably read the signs pretty well. But we have a Slavic Center in Everett that provides all kinds of services to the Slavic immigrants that live in the area. So you'll find, if you have a chance to visit the United States or talk to people who live here or who have immigrated, you'll find that there are many organizations that have been created to make it easier for immigrants to get settled in the United States and to live here. There are many organizations. I volunteer with a charity that is located here in Olympia, where I live, that provides those services. It's mostly for Spanish-speaking immigrants. And we provide English classes, job training, social counseling, and many other things. And it's all free. It's all part of the service to help those people become more accustomed to living in the United States. This is the name of that charity I work for, or that I volunteer with. It's called Cielo. And in Spanish, cielo means sky or blue sky. And I thought I would just show you, this is the website that I built for the charity. And as you can see, does anyone speak Spanish on our call this morning? So you can see everything is in English and in Spanish. And you can see, for example, we provide education, classes for learning English. We have a host of other resources that we provide, education, individual counseling, immigration services, all sorts of things. So, and this is a website, a website that I built. I'm showing you a picture of the buses in Seattle. These are the kind of regular buses that go around town. And the reason I'm showing this is that the bus schedule and the bus information is all provided on the website in many, many different languages. In addition to that, if you're not a good reader or you don't have access to the internet, this King County Transportation Department has a residential transportation coordinators, RTCs, that speak many different languages. And you can call a number to speak to somebody who will help you understand how to ride the bus in all of these languages, including Russian and Ukrainian. Pretty interesting. So this is all sort of part of this larger effort that cities and businesses and charities make to welcome immigrants and to help them become accustomed to life in the United States. Here's another example on that same transportation website. If you need some help with language access, you don't speak English very well, there it is in Ukrainian. And of course, right up above in Russian. So kind of interesting. And this is, you know, you'll find this in many large cities all over the United States.
Also the same for the IRP office and insurance agencies.
Oh yeah,
especially in Chicago, where is the big
Yes.
Ukrainian community.
Oh boy, yeah.
When you're
Chicago
calling to
is
Chicago IRP or DOT, like Department of Transportation, they also provide Ukrainian translators over there.
You're right. And for those of you who know about Chicago, that's one of the largest populations of Ukrainian Americans. Excuse me, in the United States. There's actually an area of Chicago that's called Little Ukraine.
Ukrainian village.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So I thought, since we're talking about immigration, we should spend a few minutes talking about the original people who did not immigrate here, the original Americans, our Native American population, who were here long before European settlers came, hundreds and hundreds of years ago. Our Native American population was, of course, all over what we now know as North America. And there were many different tribes of Native Americans that lived, you know, all over this country. And then also in the state of Washington, where I live, we now have Native American reservations, land that is given to these tribes. And they all have little pieces of land in many parts of the state, including where I live. I live here in Olympia, Washington. And this right here, the Chehalis tribe, is located right near my house. It's about maybe 8 kilometers away from where Barbara and I live. And this is pictures of some of the buildings that they have on their reservation. It's called the Chehalis Indian tribe. They have schools, they have medical center, they have all kinds of social services. They have their own police force. They have their own, this is the governor, sort of the mayor or the governor of the little area that they live in. So they have their own sort of little world within their own operation. Can someone mute there? I think someone's there. There you go. Okay, now we're back. So anyway, so if you want to visit this later, you can see you can go to this website and learn all about the kind of services that they provide for the Chehalis people that live on the reservation. It's pretty interesting. I also took this picture when I was actually on my bicycle, because I ride my bicycle down that direction. And you can see that this is their sort of medical center. You can see there's their language. This is written in the Chehalis native language. So good luck with that one. Yeah, not easy to read. They make their money primarily from gambling. Native reservations are allowed to have gambling on their location. So they build large hotels and restaurants and entertainment facilities on their reservation. And people go there and gamble and eat and drink and do all those things. So moving on, talking more about Joe Biden, our president. I think we're still getting there's some background from someone. Can someone mute there? I think.
I will check right now.
Okay.
Maybe.
I think we're okay.
Not quite.
Thanks, Christy. Yeah, I mean, Joe Biden has got a lot of problems to deal with. And as we talked a few minutes ago, one of them is immigration. And he's really working hard, but this is not going to be an easy fix, as you can imagine. He has a lot of things to work on as it relates to immigration, not just with Mexico, but with immigrants coming from all over the United States. The United States population is now at 331 million people. 331 million. And many of the cities are getting very crowded, with immigrants. So it's very difficult to take in more and more and to provide the social services, the education, all of the all those services that are required. It's costing the United States a lot of money. So he is really trying to figure out a solution that will work going forward. Not easy to do. Talking about US and Canada, our neighbors to the north. So there are approximately 1.1 million Ukrainians living in the United States today. The largest diasporas are in New York, Chicago, Illinois, California, largely in the San Francisco area. There's actually a Ukrainian consulate located in San Francisco, which I thought was pretty interesting. And of course, New Jersey, I'm sure you know that, Christy. Pennsylvania, around the Philadelphia area, Ohio, Michigan, Florida, and the state of Washington. So we have a fair number of Ukrainians living out in this part of the country too. But believe it or not, even though Canada has a much smaller population, their population of Ukrainians is larger than it is in the United States. 1.5 million Ukrainians in Canada. And it's the third largest Ukrainian population behind Ukraine and Russia. So amazing number of Ukrainians living just north of where I live up in Canada. And New York City, of course, is the largest concentration of Ukrainians living in the US, in a place in Brooklyn called Brighton Beach. And if some of you might have relatives or friends or people that you know who live there, I visited there a few times when I lived in New York City years ago, and it is amazing when you get off the metro. They call it the subway in New York. When you get off the metro and walk up the stairs, you say, "Where am I?" You think you've crossed the ocean and you're in Ukraine or you're in Russia. It's absolutely amazing. And of course, in Canada, as we spoke about, they have a very large population. There's actually one town that has a Ukrainian celebration. It's this big festival that goes on for 2 weeks every year. It's in the province of Manitoba. And again, I have a website that will tell you all about it. But yeah, you can see it's in Manitoba, and they have this huge festival that takes place there every year. All the food, all the things that you would expect. And this all happens north of the border up in Canada. Many years ago, when I like to take these long bicycle trips. Some of you probably know about that. And I was doing a bicycle ride across Canada, all the way across Canada, from the Pacific Ocean to the Atlantic Ocean. 5,000 miles, 7,000 kilometers across Canada. And I stopped this as it happened. Our route went right through this town. That's how I found out about it. We rode right through this town where this festival happened. And it was like being in Ukraine. This town, all the signs were in Ukrainian. The restaurants were Ukrainian food, vareniki, kotlet, all this. It was incredible. So yeah, it was quite amazing. So yeah, that'll be on the link if you want to take more information about that. So getting back to the subject of immigration exactly. So a foreign citizen who wants to immigrate needs to be sponsored by a U.S. citizen or a business, someone who wants to hire you to either get a regular immigrant visa or a working visa in the United States. And there it is, Stas. There's the green card. Some of you have heard about this. Very
11th time of trying.
Yes. Very difficult to get. And right now it's you know this word, a lottery, the lottery system of getting a green card? Yeah, you basically enter this lottery, and you are hopeful that you will be selected. And Stas, you've done this a few times, yes?
10 times already.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
Last year, a friend of mine was submitting the application for himself and also for another person. And the person that he was submitting the application for won the lottery, won the green card, and he not.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh, that's painful. Yeah. Well, they don't do many of these a year. I think the number, Stas, do you remember the number of green cards they issue each year?
I think 50,000 or something.
Yeah, that number sounds about right. Yeah. And of course, closer to home, if you want to go and go for an interview for a visa, you have to go into Kiev, and you go to the U.S. Embassy, and that's where it's located, in case you didn't know.
But unfortunately, they are closed right now due to the pandemic.
Yeah.
And they said that even those people who submitted the application for the visa interview, they are moved further back. Like some of those had scheduled for like January of this year, and they moved for 2022, 2023.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be a long time, unfortunately. And then again, this will be on the website if you want to take a look at it later. More information about the lottery site, although I'm sure Stas can tell you all about it if you're interested. And the whole green card process is all that information is located at those links. And then of course our U.S. Embassy website. It's good to learn about immigration there, but there's also a lot of very interesting information about sort of the relationship between the United States and Ukraine in terms of other programs that are offered. And many of them are outlined on this website. It's a very good website to visit. I belong to I signed up to get them on my Facebook page. And I see all kinds of information that comes up almost every week about some program, some educational program, scholarship programs, those sorts of things. So it's a good website to just keep an eye on every once in a while and to become familiar with. And of course, the whole the visa process itself is found there. Has anyone, Stas, have you visited this location? Have you been to the embassy?
Yep.
Yeah.
In 2008.
Right. Oh, that's right. When you were getting your visa. Yeah. And Julia, you did also, right? Julia, did you go for an interview there? No? Yeah. Anyway, so they also have a Facebook page. And so this is an easy way to sort of keep up, as I was saying, to keep up on information on what's happening with the relationship between Ukraine and the United States. There they are. That was a picture taken at the embassy, I think. And I think that's it. Yeah, we're back. What questions do you have? I'm sure you have questions.
No questions.
No questions. There's problem. Everything's fine. Julia, go off, turn on your microphone, Julia. I think you're muted on your Zoom. If you unmute your microphone on Zoom. There you go.
Like this?
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. How can we get this green card?
Yeah.
Give us strict directions.
Yes.
What shall we do?
Yes, that's an excellent question.
To fill in the application, to attach the picture, and how does it work further?
Yeah, so the green card is your permanent residence in the U.S. And again, this lottery is, you enter this lottery every year, and probably 1 million people are trying to get 50,000 green cards. So the chances are so difficult. It's so hard. And Stas has done this 10 times, right? Stas, 10 times is a long time, and it hasn't worked yet. They literally, it's a drawing. It's just random. They take numbers out of a hat, as we used to say. It's very, very difficult to get. But of course, if you have that green card, that allows you residence in the United States. So it's a great thing to have, but very, very difficult to get. Do you have any friends, Yulia, who have a green card?
No, not friends, but I'm following on Instagram one lady. Her name is Ksenia. She's from Russia, and she visited the US before the green card several times, and then she won it. So she was very happy. She moved alone, totally alone. Then she helped her sister to come to the USA as well. So they are living together right now. And she didn't know English at all. Just simple phrases. Yeah, so she was a real immigrant, and now I'm following her because she knows history very well, and she's exploring. She lives in New York, and every day she shows the streets, what is going on the streets. She describes the situation, the people. She works as a cook, I think. Yeah, so she makes the tour guides in the Central Park.
Really?
Yeah, so so she's amazing. Yeah, and her example inspired me to apply. I applied the previous year, but I failed. So this time I will also try to apply for this card. Yeah.
What a great story. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah. Isn't that amazing? And she has been there for many years now, I guess. Yes?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Wow, what a great story. Good for her. Yeah. Does she live in that Brighton Beach area in Brooklyn?
Maybe yes, but she changed her apartment several times. Of course. Yeah.
That's great that you have this connection with her. That's wonderful.
Yeah. I like to follow her and to see the new posts every day. So she likes the nature and the history. So every leaf, every tree, every memorial, she would describe about it, write in details. So like this, yeah.
Super. What a great story. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah. That's super. So you just friended her on Facebook or something, or you found her
no, only Instagram.
Instagram, yeah.
No time for Facebook, yeah.
Okay. That's great. Oh, that's a good story. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Any other questions or stories? That's a super one. Christy, I know you visited at least a few times, right? In America?
In 3 times. Yeah. Yes, and I tried this year, but unfortunately I cannot enter.
Right.
Yes, because I didn't know the rules exactly, and my ticket was through the Germany.
Yeah.
And Borisval, they said goodbye, baby.
Yeah, пока. Yeah. Yes.
So what about now? If I still have my visa, how can we go to United States from Ukraine? Do you know that?
Yeah, thank you for asking, because it's probably worth talking about. I did a little research on this in the last week, and I can tell you that the situation is constantly changing. So whatever I tell you, by next week, it could be different. But I can tell you what I've learned this week. Mm-hmm. Starting November, it's early November. I think maybe November, the first week of November. Listopad, yeah. Trying to remember, yeah. So in early November, you now will be able to fly through Europe. That's not going to be a problem. We're going to allow immigrants coming from most countries, but there's a catch, and the catch is you have to be vaccinated, right? Yeah. So as many of you may have read, vaccination process is continuing here. It's become a political, thing in America, unfortunately. Many parts of the country are resistant to vaccination, not because of the danger, but because of politics, basically. However, in the area that I live in, most people are vaccinated. For example, Barbara and I are vaccinated, and we actually just received our third shot for people who are 65 years and older, for the older people. They're recommending an additional third vaccine shot. So we got ours about, 2 weeks ago. So around here, it's very safe. I mean, people are feeling confident. Life goes on. Schools are open. Businesses are open. Everything is getting back to normal. But other parts of the country are really struggling, those that have a lower vaccination rate. And I think that's happening in Ukraine too. I read about Dnipro and some of the eastern, Donetsk and those places that have very high, they're in red zone now, I think, right, Christy?
Yes, right.
Yeah. So
every day.
Yeah, so it really varies on, on what part you're in. But so if you're vaccinated, you can come to the United States starting in November. Through Germany or through Amsterdam or any of those places. So anyway, so that's the deal. Now I hope it lasts. I hope that continues. I don't know, but for the time being, yeah.
And what about you? Why didn't you come? So the restriction.
Okay, so some of you may know, and I was planning a trip, and I said, okay, here we go. I'm going to come to Ukraine, and this will be trip number 29. Trip number 29 in 17 years. And I had my tickets and I was ready to go. And then I checked the US State Department website every week just to see what's happening for Ukraine. And it said, maybe think twice about coming to Ukraine because they're starting to do lockdowns now. They're starting to, put more of a system in place. Depending upon what city you're in or what region you're in, there are going to be problems with transportation and this sort of thing. And my biggest concern was that some of the schools that I wanted to visit, I have, as some of you know, I was in Ukraine for many years, and I know many former students who are now teachers or working in a library, for example, like Christy. And I wanted to visit with those schools. I had plans to visit many different oblasts and visit those schools where those teachers are. And there was great concern that those schools would be closed, because of the number of people vaccinated or not vaccinated in those cities. So I thought it was best to just wait for a while and see what happens. Yeah. But I will return, but not right away.
We'll wait for you, of course.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Maybe somebody wants to tell something, the stories.
Yeah, any stories, any good jokes.
Silence.